And welcome to the Thursday, February 9th, 2023 meeting of the Indian River County Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll call this meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions from the agenda? None. We have two sets of minutes to approve. The first set is the January 12th, 2023 set of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The second set of minutes is the January 26th, 2023 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Approved. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. We have two items on the agenda tonight, both of which are items that are not on consent and quasi-judicial. We'll begin with the first, which is the FP&L Orchid Solar Energy Facility. And this is a request for major site plan approval to construct a solar facility. Florida Power and Light Companies is the owner. Lucido and Associates is the agent. It is located at the southeast corner of the intersection of 122nd Avenue and 21st Street Southwest. The zoning is A2, agricultural 2, up to 1 unit per 10 acres. The land use designation is AG2, agricultural 2, up to 1 unit per 10 acres. Any declaration of ex parte communication on this subject?
No.
None? So anyone that wants to speak on this and the second agenda item, please get sworn in now. Please stand and get sworn in.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Staff presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't see staff. Mic on? There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ryan Sweeney, Chief of Current Development, for the record. Presenting this project on behalf of Senior Planner Patrick Murphy, who is the project manager but is not here tonight. Tonight's request is for FPL Orchard Solar Energy Center, which is a major site plan approval request. This site will become the 6th solar field in Indian River County, all in the southwestern portion of the county, south of State Road 60, west of 95. And this is a plan showing the various different sites, and this was also included in your report. The project site is located at the southeast corner of 122nd Ave, and it's actually 21st Street Southwest. This is mislabeled, but we'll visit that in a second. It is immediately south of the FPL Indian River solar field and immediately north of the South County line, or 25th Street Southwest. This exhibit is an aerial depicting the existing FPL Indian River solar field and the various extended grid rights-of-way that are referenced in the comprehensive plan, and we talk about every time we talk about solar fields. So we've got 122nd Ave to the west, 114th Ave to the east, 21st Street Southwest to the north, and 25th Street Southwest to the south. And the field does not impact those extended grid right-of-ways. Here is a exhibit of the site plan. So the primary access road will actually be from through the FPL Indian River site down a north-south road that runs along the west end of the site, and then two primary east-west paths with turnarounds. I do want to note that this is the first, I believe, and they'll confirm, this is the first field that will have articulating panels. So rather than being fixed panels, these will follow the path of the sun. And I'm not sure if that will be the new wave, so to speak, but I believe this is the first site they're going to implement that technology. And with that, staff's recommendation is that the Planning and Zoning Commission grant major site plan approval for the proposed FPL Orchard Solar Energy Center with the following condition. The applicant shall obtain a county right-of-way permit for any heavy loads utilizing county right-of-way during project construction. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner, questions of staff?
I have one.
Mark?
It mentions that there's no restroom facilities, so does that mean that a number of plop johns will be permanently located until the point where maybe there are some restrooms?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Mutual, no, I think only during construction there will be temporary restroom facilities, but then they're unmanned and they're only visited on maybe once or twice a month, and the crews will just be there for a few hours, and then so there's no need. There won't be any permanent temporary facilities, if that makes sense.
Are there any permanent facilities at the neighboring site?
None that I'm aware of. There was, the very first field had a construction compound with some trailers and like a training facility, and they can update you. I believe those have all been removed. Again, once they're up and running, they're only visited once or twice a month.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, I'll go ahead and open the floor for public comment. If anyone would like to say anything about this, please come to either podium and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Scott Scoville. I'm a project director with Florida Power and Light. My business address is 700 Universe Boulevard, Juno Beach, Florida, 33408. Yeah, that,
I have the PowerPoint pulled up if you.
yeah, thank you for having us tonight. We're excited to be back on the agenda for our sixth project here in River County. You go to the next slide.
Sure.
Oops.
Yeah, this will be our sixth project here in the county. This project will bring our total our total energy for equivalent to about 83,000 homes in the county, and we'll have the equivalent of taking about 75,000 cars off the road. So our six projects combined, it's this one and the one that we have under construction now, Turnpike Solar, that will be completed here in April of in about 6 to 8 weeks. So you asked a question. Yeah, this will be the tracker panels. We have that also employed at our Turnpike Solar project. So they're oriented north and south, and they track throughout the day east to west. So it's exciting new technology. We get greater production out of our panels. It took engineering and some engineering design work, but yeah, we're successfully deploying our tracking panels farther south into Florida. Can you go to the next slide, please? As always, these projects just continue the benefit to the communities. They're quiet. They bring clean energy to the communities. We believe they're a compatible use of the ag feature in this part of the county. So we just believe it's still a win for both the county and us. Next slide. The unique thing about this project is it's split. The overall project is between two counties. This actually was a very very ideal project for us. When we did the Indian River Solar here in 2017, we had open space to the south, and when we do what we call our Pelican Solar in St. Lucie County, we had open space to the north. This project is just successfully fills that open space in both counties. So it's split pretty much equal between on the county line, but it's one contiguous project. We anticipate having our ERP permit with the Florida Department of the DEP here any day, any week now. It's coming. Same with the St. John's Improvement District approval, and we're seeking your approval tonight. So with all approvals in hand, we are anticipating starting construction April 1st, and with all of them, it's about a 9-month period, and we should be, complete by January 2024. So same as the last 5 projects here, all pretty much same crew, same process, same as it was in the past. If you don't know if you have any questions for us.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I do.
Mark?
You have to excuse me, I'm kind of slow on this. I am an automotive engineer, and trying to figure out how a solar farm takes cars off the road.
Emission equivalent. sorry. The emission
Well,
reduction.
you mean if this solar farm were to do nothing but power electric cars?
No, it's the emission, the emission reduction from operating these solar projects versus our typical natural gas plants. That emission reduction is equivalent to taking that amount of cars off the road.
Oh, okay, if you say.
Sorry about that.
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Having these, rotating or articulating panels, what are the wind load weight, wind load requirements for those? And does that present any kind of an issue? I mean, obviously hurricanes being something that we have, I would be pretty certain you've engineered that out, but I just wanted to know what the wind load was on those.
I am not, I am not an engineer, but I could get you the wind. 155 miles an hour.
I'm sorry?
155 miles an hour.
150, okay, so it meets the, okay, thank you.
The articulating panels, are they the wave of the future?
For us now, yes, they are. We do have the increased production from these panels versus our fix from the past. So yes, we brought them farther south into Florida.
And what's the difference in cost between a fixed panel and the articulating panel?
Well, they do cost more because of the increased infrastructure, but we've found the cost benefit to the increased production from these panels.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'll close the floor to public comment for this.
I also want to thank staff for all their
Yep.
work in getting us here tonight. Thank you very much for all their help.
Yeah, and I'm a huge proponent of these, so keep them coming.
We will. There's more coming. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the FPNL project.
You anticipated my next move. We've got a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We've got a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Very good.
I guess no one else in the audience wanted to speak.
They had their opportunity. Yep. All right. Second agenda item is value store it. And this is a request for a site plan and administrative permit for use approval to construct a two-story self-storage facility with a paved outdoor and covered RV and boat storage area and an associated site improvements. Value Store It Vero Beach LLC is the owner. Thomas Engineering Group LLC is the agent. It is located on the south side of State Road 60, approximately 850 feet east of 90th Avenue. The zoning is CG, General Commercial. The land use designation is CI, Commercial Industrial. Any declaration of ex parte communications?
No.
None. And participants have been sworn in, so staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brandon Cregan, Senior Planner, will be presenting this project.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. Before you today is the Value Store It Major Site Plan with administrative permit use. The project is located south of 20th Street, or what is known as 60th, or State Road 60, east of 90th Avenue. It has a zoning of CG, General Commercial, and a future land use of CI, Commercial Industrial. On screen is an aerial of the site. You can see how the proposed site will be laid out on the vacant property and its relationship with surrounding properties. The building to the immediate west was formerly Wendy's. It's now a vacant property, and then there's a truck stop further to the east, or further to the west as well. So the site plan will consist of one two-story building that's 65,210 square feet. There will be 11 customer and employee parking spaces that will be located in the front parking lot area. There will also be RV and boat storage parking in the rear of the property, and there will also be gated access to that RV and boat storage area. Also, just wanted to note that for the remainder of this presentation, north is actually going to be on the left side of the screen. just for presentation purposes, it was better to flip the site so you could see the site as a whole. The traffic circulation plan is going to be one right-in, right-out driveway connection to State Road 60. Due to the median on State Road 60, there will be no left-in or left-out access to the site. There will be a future cross-access easement to the eastern property whenever that property is developed, as it may or may not get access directly onto State Road 60 just due to the close proximity of driveways. And as mentioned, there will also be a gated two-way driveway connection to the rear of the site for the RV and boat storage parking area, which will be covered storage areas. There will be one stormwater pond on the south eastern portion of the site. The landscape plan will provide for the most part, a continuous 15-foot type C buffer around the perimeter of the site. There will be a break in the parking lot where that driveway connection will happen. And then also there will be a 25-foot type B landscape buffer along the State Road 60 right-of-way. I'd like to also note that both of these landscape buffers have come about because they are requirements for the administrative permit for self-storage facilities in the general commercial zoning district. Normally, most sites would get a 20-foot landscape buffer along the roadway, but this one is 25 because it's a special requirement as part of the administrative permit approval. The required improvements for the site will be sidewalks, site lighting, site infrastructure improvements, and staff would also like to take special note that we have reviewed this property and can verify that it meets all specific land use criteria for self-storage facilities in the general commercial zoning district pursuant to County Code 971.12 subsection 3 of the county's land development regulations. These land development regulations cover the administrative permit use process for self-storage facilities. Staff recommends that the Plan and Zoning Commission grant major site plan and administrative permit use approval for Value Store It, along with the conditions listed in the staff report. Those conditions are related to landscaping, lighting, and site improvements prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, and that site lighting adjustments may be required after lighting's installation. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner, questions?
Yes,
Okay,
believe it or not. Two things. Looking at the drawings, are there no enclosed structures on this site plan?
So there are roofed structures that will be in the rear parking area for, they'll basically be covered parking. And then other than that, there's no other enclosed structures except for the actual building itself.
Okay, and when you say RV and what was the other thing?
Boat storage.
Boat, RV and boat. So how do you differentiate between an RV such as a camper or would that include a mobile home possibly, or a bus, or a truck of some sort? Was this definitely limited to however you define RVs? No other vehicles?
Sure, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mutcher. I mean, generally RV and boat, well, I mean, most folks know what RV and boat is, but the idea is that these are larger spaces that folks can store personally owned recreational vehicles or boats. I mean, potentially they could store like just a passenger vehicle or a passenger van. This is not heavy equipment. This is not tractor trailer, dump truck type items. This is what you typically see at many self-storage facilities where people who have larger personal vehicles need space to park them.
What, is there some limit to larger?
As big as the space that can fit it. They're about 40 feet deep.
Yeah, if I had a truck with a camper on the back, I could
You
put it
could
there,
park it
or
there.
pick up a car if I wanted
Yeah,
to pay.
yeah,
for
if you want to
a
pay the
spot.
premium, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, that wasn't clear. And it said something about possible resident manager
Right, so,
facilities, and what would happen if they decided to go ahead with something like that? Would that come back?
Yes, so as part of the specific land use criteria that are specific to self-storage facilities in the CG and the general commercial zoning district, there is an option to have a resident manager on site. They've indicated they do not intend to have that. I would say if it was going to be clearly accessory, they could probably do it at the staff level. But again, the criterion is just that it is allowed as an accessory use to those facilities.
And then going back to my first question, how does that interface with the bathroom question?
Sure. So this facility will have a restroom. A commercial facility that's open to the public will have a restroom. More often than not, what you would see in a resident manager residence is usually it's a two-story scenario where the first floor is like the office space or the customer interface, and usually the second floor is where a manager residence would be.
Regular apartment, kind of.
Correct.
Okay.
You good, Mark?
Yes.
Anyone else?
I was just kind of curious, in the staff recommendations, it showed that site lighting adjustments may be required after installation. Is that just primarily?
Standard. Yeah, that's a standard.
You just put that on, okay.
Yeah, well, again, because site lighting for commercial sites, and typically more so when these sites abut a residential zoning district, the requirement is that it doesn't spill onto, but we put that in for twofold. One is initial installation, we require, but also, occasionally a moving truck or a boat might bump a pole or two, and after some time, we can readjust. So it's kind of a standing order that they may need to revisit from time to time.
Yeah,
I have a question, please.
okay, go ahead.
The stormwater retention, is that wet or is that a dry?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Votaw, I'm pretty sure it's wet. I also believe, even though it's not shown here, there's also some chambers in the parking lot as well.
Yeah, I noticed that on the plans.
Because clearly that pond's pretty small for a site of this size, but.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a wet pond.
Okay, because the dry retention just ends up looking,
Right, yeah. But again, the chamber system is the bulk of the volume.
bulk of the
chamber.
storage at that point in time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had a question about that. Over the last year, we've considered some proposals where I've been amazed at the size of the water retention. And in this one, I'm kind of amazed at the size of the water retention. What determines the square footage?
Well, there's a multitude of factors, which I'm not a stormwater engineer, but the simplest things are if it's in the floodplain, if they have to do the cut and fill, that's when you see the huge ponds. Second thing is the soil porosity or perk rate. Some projects on the ridge, on the Florida Sand Ridge, you could pretty much get away with almost no stormwater versus the floodplain with mucky soils. You're going to see a lot of water. So those are the extremes, and that's my extent of stormwater engineering.
Thank you. And I also had a question about the lighting adjustments may be required after installation. Once it gets determined that they are required, then is that for the life of the project?
Yeah, and that's a standing order that code enforcement could ultimately get involved if need be. Normally, we would send either a courtesy letter or just a warning, hey, we've got a complaint. Again, typically when a residential project is nearby, somebody in a moving truck hit a pole, now it's shining, or, somebody added a floodlight not thinking that it would shed light, and so it's a standing order. It's just something we put in the approval just for make everybody aware.
Good. Anything else?
The applicant is obviously here, or the
I'll
group.
open the floor to public comment on this, if anyone would like to comment. Name, address, serial number.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm with Thomas Engineering Group, the civil side. And I wanted to answer that question about the stormwater pond. It is a dry pond. And as you can tell, it isn't very big, but almost the entire site, other than the building, is chambers. And we've definitely gone to staff to make sure this driver pond will do its job.
So, not to interject, but at that point, the dry pond's really more the outfall than it is the storage or treatment.
Our outfall is actually to the north, to
Okay.
the Indian River Farms Water Control District's canal.
And is that an underground outflow?
pipes out?
It's a pipe that outfalls, it has a head wall and just goes, into the ditch. But the normal ditch water level is lower than our outfall.
So what is the rain event that would trigger a discharge? 100-year, 200-year, 50-year? Do you,
So for the Indian River Farms Water Control District, they have a 2-inch over the basin area rate that they allow. That is for the 25-year storm.
okay?
Any other questions? Anyone else want to speak?
Thank you.
Good evening. Carlos Diaz, Value Storage. I represent the ownership group. My address is 3201 West Commercial Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. We're a Florida-based self-storage operator. We're excited to be in Indian River County. This is the closest project we have to our Melbourne project, and we're excited to serve the community. I wanted to just answer the commissioner's question about the RVs and boats situation. The vehicles that are stored are always registered vehicles, number one, so you're not going to have material storage or anything like that. Number two, they're not live-on vehicles, so you're not allowed to actually, be on the property and stay on the property. And the other question you had was about the apartment. None of our projects have apartments on site, and so we don't design or intend to have an apartment on this property. So if that was a concern.
Good.
Any other questions, let me know.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? I'll take that as no and close the public comment portion of this. Any other questions or a motion?
I had a quick one.
Okay.
Your questions about the lighting got me thinking. Normally, lighting questions are if you spill over into adjacent parcel, and it says to the east is Enterprise Rent-A-Car, or which of course wouldn't be a problem with a lighting spillover, but is there any zoning in the proximity that would allow something that would be more sensitive to lighting? For
Thank you.
future
Sure,
use.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mutcher. No, in the immediate proximity, no, there is a mobile home park south of the pond so there's a pond immediately south of the site that's relatively large. I believe it's a county pond for when State Road 60 was widened. And then from there is an RV park. It would have to be a pretty egregious, it basically have to be pointing directly to that to make that an issue. But again, it's just a built-in, we did another self-storage in the CG that does immediately abut residential, right next to the reserve at Grand Harbor at 53rd Street, not too long ago. And so we were a little bit more sensitive to that one in particular. But yeah, the only potential sort of residential issue with this one would be the mobile home park, but I don't think there's much chance of it spilling over.
But all that vacant land to the east,
It's all commercial,
that's all commercial?
correct? Yeah, it's all CG as well, so there won't be a residential issue.
Any other questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve the staff recommendations?
Motion to approve? Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Commissioner matters, 5, 4,
I had-
3, 2.
You won't believe this, but I have what I hope is a quick one. I brought up at the last meeting, this crazy storage unit on Route 60 in the city of Vero Beach. And when I was on the Planning and Zoning Board for the city of Vero Beach for 19 years, we had a nice multi-use office, commercial site plan on that property. And I can't recall how, this monstrosity could have been allowed, but I guess it is. This is going on the commercial general, and I was thinking that at least in the city or in a more close-in location, that it maybe ought to be commercial industrial or commercial heavy, something like that. And, you know, I would hope the city would move in that way so that this kind of thing wouldn't happen again. But I suppose if commercial general, if this kind of thing was allowed in commercial general, and this isn't, it doesn't have the structures like the other one has, but I suppose in a commercial general, closer in a different kind of neighborhood, if you will.
Sure. I thought you might ask this question or bring this up during the hearing, which I'm glad you didn't, because I don't like to mix sort of the general with the specific of a project. Again, that's in the city of Vero. We don't, own or control. If it were me, I would recommend a commercial, either downtown commercial zoning district or an urban commercial, that's really the urban core of the city. We have urban, more suburban areas. But we do have our general, limited commercial and general commercial are more sort of retail commercial type zoning districts. And this is a perfect example. So we also have criteria that go with self-storage in general commercial so that we don't see a proliferation of either giant sites or giant buildings. The number one for CG is the 3 acre limitation. So for us, it's 3 acres total. You can't, if you get to 5, 6, 7, 10 acres, these buildings get huge and they take up a huge amount. The second tool in the toolbox is we also have a 0.5 floor area ratio requirement, which at a single story would only be 50% of the total site could be utilized for building area. You can still have the RV and boat storage, but the minute you go up to second or even third, the building becomes much smaller. So from a building scalability, it uses less of the site. I can tell you that that's not favorable for the storage companies. They want to put a 3-story building that takes up, 75% of the site. Whether it was intentional or not, it cuts in our favor. CHIL, those criteria do not apply. So I can't promise and swear today that we won't see a 7, 10 acre large building. It'll just be in the CH or the IL, which is typically away from residential and away from the more commercial retail components. There are some.
I did want to thank these applicants for locating it way out west. Sure. On a major road, off a major road, where I think something like that is appropriate, sure. Certainly more so than the one in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'll finish with, there are two, you may have noticed if you drive the Central County section, there are 2 sites that are coming out of the ground right now on US 1. Those are both CH, so they're permitted. They don't have the criteria. They still won't be monstrosities, so to speak, but they will be, again, they're in that stretch of kind of no man's land of US 1. So, but yeah, we do have criteria in place that, again, intentionally or unintentionally does kind of limit self-storage in the more retail-driven districts.
And I guess it's going to be a demolition of the Press Journal building.
That's in the city as well, but they also are looking at.
I don't believe it.
It is.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's in the city of Vero jurisdiction.
Oh, that's right. It's
Overruled 3-1.
okay.
Anything else?
It sounds like your comments may be more appropriate
You're right.
zoning rather than here.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Sweeney, I had a quick question for you, once again, on the size of these projects and things. There's that RV and boat storage that just opened up or just went in on 510, slightly west of US 1. How many acres was that?
That's IL property, and I want to say it's like 8 or 9 acres. It's primarily just RV and boat storage.
Well, that's what I thought when I drove by, but
Right.
because of that, I was like, wow, that looks like a lot larger than 3 acres.
It's
so that'd
IL.
be a zoning.
Yeah, and there is a small self-storage phase 2 in the back that they may or may not build, but again, that's paved registered vehicle storage. In the IL or the IG, you can have junk storage. I mean, you can store a lot more stuff. So things could be worse, but that's the difference, the differentiating factor.
Gotcha, thank you.
Are we done with commissioner matters? Planning matters.
So this is our 3rd consecutive P&Z meeting, and hopefully we will not be having a second meeting in February. Not sure about March. I know the second meeting in March is also spring break, so if we do have one, hopefully it'll be the first meeting in March. But as of right now, we're not having one in second meeting in February, and it may be a few meetings that get canceled in a row.
Here come the boss.
Phil?
Phil Mattson, Community Development. I'm sorry, I can't resist. I know, Mr. Mutual, you probably have spring break
It
plans,
is-
so you're
it is
probably happy to hear
difficult.
that.
I mean, the magnet with the microphone to Phil.
I can't resist.
Are we done?
We are done.
Mattson? Yep. Attorney matters.
Just one, the Fourth District Court of Appeal ruled today striking down the common practice of opening a public hearing and continuing it to a date certain without advertising. We have done that frequently in the past, as have many other municipalities and counties. The District Court of Appeals said that the plain reading of the statute is advertise. So if you're going to have a public hearing, you can't open it and continue it. You have to open it, continue it, and then advertise it for a later date. It's not a final hearing yet, but I'm anticipating that it will be made such.
So historically, the reason we have done that is we lacked a quorum. Would we be better off in that situation where we see there is no quorum to not even open the meeting?
We're still going
Yeah,
to
you
have to
still- yeah,
re-advertise it.
We are.
I mean, if we don't have a quorum, we would still have to go ahead and continue it to a date. We would have to plan on it to be held in the future and re-advertise it.
So we'll open, table, and re-advertise.
That's correct. We can do that.
What is the lead time in advertising?
I wanted to chime in on that. So it shouldn't be a huge issue. The ad was already ran. We literally just changed the dates and rerun it. The only real implication for a project is, and we'll use this meeting as an example, if we had advertised for a public hearing for tonight and it had to be not held due to lack of quorum, I would not be able to turn around and get it re-advertised for the next meeting in February. There would be at least a one-meeting gap. So there is implications for projects that are pushing. Usually when they're at P&Z, especially, usually P&Zs with public hearings have to go to the board, but regardless, they're near the finish line, so it will be a one additional meeting penalty. Now, sometimes the applicant requests things be tabled, so that's on them. But if it's due to lack of quorum, it's a good thing we have an alternate, and we haven't had a quorum issue lately, but just be aware that there are implications for projects that are trying to move forward.
Yeah, that ad has to appear at least 10 days before the date of the public hearing, and it's such now that submitting a classified ad for this type of notice has to be done at least 5 or 6 days in advance.
Of that 10 days, so collectively it's 15 right out of the gate, so 14 days is not doable. And that's if I were to leave this meeting tonight and go back to my office and retype the ad. So realistically, it's never going to happen.
So Lisa has a pretty good idea of Monday or Tuesday whether we're gonna have a quorum or
Correct.
not. In that case,
But it doesn't matter whether we have it or not. We have to re-advertise, period. So
But at that point in time, that may give us the extra days in there to where we could have it at the following meeting as opposed to going out a 30-day period, which is what you're talking about now.
what it will do is allow us to really encourage somebody who may or may not be attending to try to attend, so we can get that quorum. That's what it'll do.
Okay.
and do we still have the option of dialing in?
I don't believe
If there's an emergency.
if there's an emergency.
If there is a declared state of emergency or an emergency on behalf of the person attending, or that would not be able to attend. But other
not
than
good
that, they
practice.
must be here in person.
Our line's been down. It's been tough.
You don't
Do
recommend.
young children constitute?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Consul, are we done?
Yes, sir.
This meeting is adjourned.